Okay, so for the first problem, it's kind of straightforward, right? So Danica wants to arrange the model cars in a row with exactly 6 cars in each row, but she has 23 already. Now, what is the greatest number of additional cars she must buy in order for her to arrange them in this way? So like the the question actually asking us to make some number of like cars to arrange them in a row, and each row will have 6 cars, right? And then if you want to make a like rows of like cars, and then the number of total cars should be multiple of 6 because each row has 6 cars. So if you have 23 already, then you are gonna look for the addition number like the larger number than 23 that is multiple of 6, which is 24. So she needs to have 24 cars in order for her kind of to have 6 cars in each row. And the largest number of additional cars she must buy, for her to arrange those cars in this way. So she already have 23. So if she add one more, so that will be 24, which is possible with this condition. That was the first problem, so it is straightforward. So let's see the next one. So again, try asking question and talking to us whenever needed, if you like to, so I can kind of see where we are. And when you have the answer, so share with me in the chat. So I will go with those submissions. Okay, so does anyone have any ideas on this one? Okay, so I think Sydney that is correct. Okay, so like we are told like there is a halfway, I mean 50% off, and then half pound packages are just $3 per package. So if the half pound is $3, then what we want for the full pound, which will be $6 for the full pound, right? So I will go with $6 for full pound per pound. But the question telling us this is the price of the package after 50% off. So when you have 50% off, if this is 6, so the before the price discounted should be 12 because that's just the half of 12. Okay, so that was the answer. So wording is slightly complicated, but just the half pound is 3, so the like the 1 pound will be $6, and then this is after getting 50% discount, so which is why we can get 12 for the original price. So the next one is this one. Okay, so I'll wait a bit more. So does anyone have any idea on what we can do with this case? So if you have something to kind of try, just let me know. So we are gonna add these numbers, right? So how would you add these? Okay, so like let me ask you this another way of asking. Like I want you guys to kind of talk about a bit more. So like if I add these two numbers, the sum of these two is one, right? So and then if I add these two numbers, this is also one. And then since the numbers are just alternating between positive and negative numbers, so the next two is also one. And if you keep doing this, so you will get one as well. And the number before the 1,000 will be negative 999 because the odds are like negative and the evens are positive. So based on that reasoning, so the last two is also one. The question that I have now, how many ones do I have in that list? Do you see how many ones do I have? Does anyone have any comment? Yes, I think go ahead.
500.
500, right? That's great. We have 1,000 numbers in this list when you ignore the signs, 1 through 1,000, and then you pair two numbers to get one. So every two numbers will be one when you pair. So that's why we have 500 of these ones. So which is gonna be 500. So 4 times 500 is just 2,000. And that's the choice here. So I guess this is not too bad. And then this is also a common problem. So you will see something like these. Okay, so here's the next one. Okay, so we have 8 people, and then they agreed to share the bill equally because but the one person forgot the money, so the other 7 people paid extra $2.5. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I see one correct answers already. Okay, so I think we can go now. So like, let's read the question a bit carefully. It says like, we have 8 people. I'm gonna highlight this part because that's important. And, but because of the person who forgot the money, 7 people pay extra 2.5. So which means if I multiply 7 by 2.5, this is the amount of money that person, Judy, should pay, right? But since Judy, like her, she doesn't have money, so this is the amount that she has to pay, which is 7 times 2.5. I can multiply, but I don't want to multiply yet. This is the amount that every individual actually pay, because that's the equal amount. And now since we have 8 people, so I should multiply this by 8 as well to get the total money. So the reason I just didn't multiply 7 by this decimal number, because it's easier to multiply by 8 instead. So like if I multiply 8 by 2, that's 5. That will be 4 times 5, which is like 40. And then if you multiply that by 7, 20. Let me double check. So we are looking for the total price. So you can multiply like 2.5 by 4 to get 10. And then that will be 2 times 4. So that's be 2 times 7 is 14. So that will be 140. So I'm not sure if you see what I'm trying to say. So what I just did basically 2 times 4 times 7 times 2.5. So the reason I did that, because these are, if you multiply 10, and then you got 2, 7 is 14. So 14 times 10 is 140. So sometimes it's better to leave the product as it is and see if there is a way that we can multiply easily without really multiplying some decimals. So I just did that way. So that was the number 4. I see a couple people also had it. Here's the next one. Okay, that is correct, Sydney. Good job. Okay, so I'll wait a few more seconds. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So first things first, we want to make sure we kind of know the definition of each word. It says the average, which another way of saying mean, and the And also we want to compare the average of these and the median of these. So the median is just the number right in the middle when you list the numbers from smallest to largest. And the average is just the sum the numbers and divide by the number of terms. So for that reason, I'm going to list the numbers smaller to the largest. So we have 5 and 5, 6, 8, and 106. So these are the 5 numbers that we have to look for. So the average, I mean, the median is just the number in the middle. So that is our 6. So the median is 6. Okay. And if I want to find the average, which is my mean, is equal to like 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8 plus 106 over 5, since we have 5 numbers. So let's try to see if we, so this is 10 and this is 14. So 14 plus 6 is 20. So that's 120 plus 10 is 130 over 5. So if you divide 13 by 5, which is 2 times, and then you get 3 left over, so 30. So 5 plus this is 30, like 6 times. So which is why that's gonna be 26. And the question is asking which one is larger than the other by what, right? So as you see, the mean is 26, the median is 6. So the mean is way bigger than median. So which is by 20. So I think the average, which is the mean, is bigger than the median. So that's choice A. So any questions so far? Okay, so let's see the next one then. Okay, I think, yeah, that is correct. Let's see. Yeah, the second one. Yeah, that is correct. See, Alvin, that is also correct. So, Alvin, would you like to talk like how you find this?
So I knew that 30 times 20 is 600, and then 20 divided by 5 is 4.
Okay, so I guess we are using 2 different devices. That's why that was happening. But that's good. So yeah, based on what we are told, like we know we got the number like at the below by multiplying 2 numbers that is above. So if you multiply 30 by this number, so we should get 600. So if you divide 600 by 30, so they cancel zeros, that will be 60 over 3, which is 20. So that needs to be 20. As soon as we have this, we multiply the 5 and the number right here to get 20. So that needs to be 4. And you can confirm that 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 times 20 is 600. So that is why choice C is what we want. So that was number 6. So here's the next one. Okay, so I think we can go with. So you see like the train and his mom stop at the railroad crossing to let the train pass. And Trey counted 6 cars, so let's highlight this part, in the first 10 seconds. So, and then we are told that speed is gonna be like the same, like the train will take the total of 2 minutes and 45 seconds to clear the crossing. And which of the following was the most likely number of cars in that train, right? So like we can just find the unit like number of cars per second. So if you have like 6 cars, we can count 6 cars in 10 seconds. So 6 divided by 10 is in 1 second. So the cars in 1 second. So like it doesn't make sense like 6/10 in terms of like, the number of like cars, but just keep that in mind. It's just the rate basically. So then 6 divided by 10 cars in per second. And then we are told it took about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So then I can just convert into seconds because I know in 1 second it will be like 6/10 cars. So 2 minutes is times 60 is going to be 120 seconds plus 45. So which is 120 plus 45, 165 seconds. So the total time that took was 165. And the question that we need to like answer how many cars will be in this much time. So in 1 second, it was 6/10 cars. So which means in 165 seconds would be 6/10 times this number. So I can divide this by 2, which is 5, divide by 2, which is 3, and then divide this by 5, which is 1, divide this by 5. So 5 times 3 is 15, which is 1 left over, so 15, another 3. So that will be 99 cars. So based on the ratio that we have, based on the given info, so that needs to be 99 cars, but we are looking for the closest choices, so which is choice C. Does anyone have any other ideas, other approaches on this case, other than this one? Okay, so that was number 7 then. Let's move on. So far, there's no correct answer, so I'm gonna wait a few more seconds. That is not correct. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So first things first, we have the coin that will be tossed 3 times. So if you toss a coin, you have only 2 options, either head or tail, right? And then if you do this 3 times, like for the first toss, you have 2 options. For the second toss, you have 2 options. The third, you have 2 options, which basically means you have 2 times 2 times 2. We do multiply these because every toss are independent. So if you want to toss 3 times, we just do have 2 options for the first toss, 2 options for the second, head or tail, head or tail, head or tail. So, and then total number of ways to do this, 8 different result. So if you kind of don't see that immediately, you can list them, which I'm gonna do that for now. So I can go with let's say H, H, and H. So that's the one possible result. Or I can have H, H, and T, or I can have H, T, and H, or T, H, and H. So I just have only 3 H's, and then in this case, 2 H's and 1 T's. So now I can go with, let's say, like 2 T's and 1 H's. So I can have 2 T's and 1 H, or I can have T, H, T, or I could have H, T, and T, or I can have everything tails. So as you see, we have 8 different results. So we could end up getting. So the question was asking, what is the probability that at least 2 consecutive are head? So you can go ahead and look at the options. So the 2 consecutive should be at least head. So this is all 3 are consecutive head. So, and then we have 2 consecutive heads, which is good. We have 2 consecutive heads, and then there is nothing else. So we have 3 out of 8 that is at least 3 consecutive heads. So these are not consecutive. So probability is just 3/8. Any question on this? So yeah, this is the one way we can approach this problem. So since we have only 3 tosses, the total number is 8. And without really listing everything, we can just kind of list the one that we want, which is at least 2 consecutive heads. So which is not too many. So you can just find those and then just write the probability after. So which is 3/8. Choice C. Okay, here's the next one. Okay, I think that is correct, Sydney. Good job. So I'll wait a bit more. Yeah, Alvin, that is also correct. So Cindy, would you like to tell us how you find this one? I can go with that.
So first, I just like wrote it on a piece of paper and doubled it. On the first jump, he got 1, and then on the second, he got 2 meters, and then on the third, he got 4 meters, and then 8 meters on the, and then 16, and then 32nd on the 6th jump, and then 64 on the 7th jump, and then 128 on the 8th jump, and then 256 on the 9th jump, and then 512 on the 10th jump, and then 1024 on the 11th.
Perfect, thank you. Here's a question where we want to actually remember something. You know, this is all the numbers are power of 2. This is 2 to the 0th power. This is 2 to the first, 2 to the second, 2 to the third, and then this is 2 to the 10th power. So it is good to remember some of the common numbers, and then 2 to the 10th power is actually one of these numbers, which is 1024. So if you know this, we can just skip the writing the list, and then we can just get this answer immediately. But since the first term is 2 to the 0th power, and then second term is 2 to the first power, which means if you are looking for the number that is larger than 1000 meters, so which is 1024 is the first number, this is 2 to the 10th power, which means 11th term in this list. So which is why the choice C would be answered. And then this is a called geometric sequence. If you're geometry sequence, meaning that every number in the list is actually multiplied by a common numbers. So in this case, we keep multiplying by 2's. So, and now since we multiply by the common number 2, and then we call that common ratio of this sequence is 2. So we multiply by 2 because, okay. And then the first number in this list is 1, and then we call that's the first term is equal to 1. So it's not really needed in this problem, but it's good to know because the geometric sequence or arithmetic sequence will be a common concept. So that was at least something to keep in mind. Okay, here is the next one. Okay, so Alvin, that is correct. Good job. Let me wait a bit more. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So there are a couple of ways that we can approach this problem, but I'm gonna use the prime factorization to get the LCM and GCD or GCF. So to do so, let's go ahead and write the 180 first. Like with the prime factorization basically mean you multiply some prime numbers to get the 180. So you can see that's 18 times 10, and then 18 is 9 times 2. So I can write this as 3 squared times 2, which is 18, and then times 10. So 10 is 2 times 5. And this is what I usually go if I want to find the prime factorization, which I highly recommend you guys to do so. Because some people are using the factor 3, which is okay. It's taken too long. And then this is, I guess, rather than that. In this case, we have 2 2's in that product, so that's 2 squared. And then we have 2 3's and 1 5. So that's 180. And the next number is 594. Okay. And we want to find the prime factorization, but you know, this is an even number, so it's divisible by 2 for sure. But is this divisible by something else? Like if you remember the divisibility rule by 9, the digit sum has to be multiple of 9. If you add the digits 5, 4, 9, that's another 9, 18. So that means this number is also divisible by 9. So I'm going to divide this by 9 first, and then I can actually write 9 as 3 squared. And then this is not the only way. You can always approach different ways. If I divide 59 by 9, so that's 6 times. 6 9 is 54, so that will be 5 left over, so that will be 54 again. So that is 66 times 9. And if you can do this in your head, that will be much better. If you cannot, then that's okay. You can just divide by 2 or divide by 9 manually and see what is next. And now this is 6 times 11, and then 6 is 3 times 2. So I can write the 2 to the first power, and then we have 3 right here, and then 2 more 3's, which is 3 to the third power, and then 11 to the first power. So this is my prime factorization of 594. So as soon as I have this, we are looking for the ratio of the least common multiple. So the least common multiple divided by the greatest common factor. So sometimes this is called GCD, so divisor. So I will ask you to kind of remember the reasoning instead of just memorizing what I'm going to say. So the LCM means the largest common, least common multiple. So we are looking for the least number that is common, that is also multiple of both numbers. So if there's a number that is a multiple of the 180, that number should have at least 2 2's, at least 2 3's, at least 1 5. Otherwise, that number cannot be multiple of 180. So at the same time, you know, for that number to be multiple of 594, it has to have at least 1 2, 3 3's, and 1 11. Otherwise, that cannot be multiple of 594. So, but if you want to find a common multiple, then we need to satisfy both at the same time. So which means we need at least 2 2's. So I'm going to write 2 to the second power. And then we need to have at least 3 2's. 3 3's. So which is why we are going to have 3 to the third power. And then we need at least 1 5. We need at least 1 11. And then if you like another way of saying what I just did, when you find the LCM, you just look at the prime factorization and take everything with the highest exponent, when they are common. So we have 2, so you take the 2 to the second power. We have 3, so you take the larger exponent, which is 3 to the third. And you have 5 right here, but there is no 5 right here, so you take still. And that's how you find the least common multiple. And a GCF, just finding the largest common factor. So you are looking for something that is common, okay, and as a factor. So we have 2 squared, which means this number is divisible by 2, this number is divisible by 2 squared. But what number can divide both is just 2. So which is why we are going to take the 2 to the first power in this case, because we are looking for the common divisor. And then 3 squared and 3 to the third power, we are going to take 3 to the second power, because 3 to the second power can divide both. And then there is nothing else that can divide both. So 5 and 11 is not dividing both at the same time. So which is why we don't take that. And then that's how you find the GCF. And if you want to multiply, but I don't want to multiply if you are planning. So I can cancel one of these 2's. That's going to be just 2 to the first power. I can cancel 2 of those 3's. So that should be 3. And then now we have 2 times 3 times 5 times 11. And I would like to multiply these 2, which is 10. And 3, 11 is 33. So that should be 330. And that is the choice C. Any questions? Let me see. Okay, so I think that is good. So let's see the next one then. So like questions are gonna be challenging as of now already. So that's okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So first things what we want to remember is the relation between distance, speed, and time. So let me remind that. So the distance is equal to the rate, which what we usually say is speed, times time. So this is the relation between these like three. And if you are like, we are told like he went 2 miles each day on Monday, that's the speed of 5 miles per hour, but we don't really know the timing. So and then at the end, we want to find the time difference. So which is why I can divide both sides by rate. So in this equation, if I divide both sides by rate, right? So if I divide this by rate, so the time is equal to distance over rate. So keep that in mind. And then whenever we have some rate problems, then we want to be careful with the units. So this is like we are on Monday, the speed is 5 miles per hour, and then the next like one Wednesday 3 miles per hour, which is good because they are the same unit, and then 4 miles per hour on Friday. And so if you want to find the total time, which we don't know the time, but the time is the distance divided by rate. So the time, I will say Monday, is gonna be like, what is the total like distance? That's 2 miles each day, right? So that means 2 miles divided by the speed on Monday was 5 miles per hour. So 5 miles per hour. And if you divide miles by miles per hour, the miles will cancel. You get 2 over 5 hours basically. And then the T for Wednesday, so it's still 2 miles as a distance, and it was the speed at 3 miles per hour, so 3 miles per hour, so which will give us 2 over 3 hours. And then T for Friday, so the time for Friday, so that should be 2 miles over 4 miles per hour. And then that is 1 over 2 hours basically. So this is the time for 3 different days, right? And you may just add these, but these are a fraction, which may not be the good one, because at the end we want to find uh the time difference in minutes. So maybe I can multiply this by 60 seconds. I mean 60 minutes. So and then 60 divided by 5 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So the minute. And if I multiply this by 60, that will be 60 divided by 3 is 20. So that should be 40 minutes. And then this guy will be 30 minutes. So let's keep that in mind. But if this is the case, like those 3 different like rates will give us this many times for each day, right? But we are told if the grandfather had always walked 4 miles per hour, like he would have spent less time on that treadmill. So he has like 2 miles per day, and then which is 3 days. So that's total of 6 miles divided by the speed is now 4 miles per hour. So that is 3 over 2 hours. But if you multiply this by 60, 60 divided by 2 is 30, 30 times 3 is 90, so 90 minutes. So he's gonna spend 90 minutes if he keep doing this like 4 miles per hour rate. But in the other case, we had 70 when you add these two plus 24, which is 94. 94 minutes it took when he does this on a different speed, but now it took 90 minutes. So the difference between is 4. That's the choice D. Okay, so it wasn't too challenging to be honest, but just the a bit longer. And also we want to make sure we know the distance equals rate times time. And then if you want time alone, you can divide by rate. And if you want rate alone, that's going to be divided by time. So you will get distance divided by time equals rate. So you can go with that. And then we just find each of these timing for each day. If he does this separate speed, and then if he does that 4 miles per hour every day, And this is gonna take the total time, but be careful with this because sometimes you might just convert this to miles divided by 4 miles per hour, which doesn't work because that's just one day, okay? So that's the choice D. So let's see the next one. Yes, those are like E is not correct. Let me see the other one. Okay, I think Sunila is correct. Good job. Okay, so like let's go. So it says the vendor is offering a special price for those sandals, right? And if you buy one pair of sandals at a regular price of 50, so regular price of that pair is $50, and you get a second pair at a 40% discount when you get the second one as well. But if you do the third one will be half of the regular price. So meaning that if you get all three, right, with that special price, so you pay $50 for the first one, and then you pay 40% discount, which means you pay 60% of the regular price. So I'm gonna go with like 0.6 because that means 60% of 50. So if you multiply this by 50, you get 40% discount basically. So you can just find 40% of 50, which is gonna be like 20, and then subtract from that. So you can go with that. But I will go 0.6 times 50 because that means 60% of 50. That's it for this price for the second sandal. And the third will be half of the regular price. The regular price is 50, so the half will be 25. So if you combine these, this is gonna be like, if you multiply this by 10, that will be 6, and then Probably 6 times 5 is 30. So 30, 50, which is 80, plus 25, which is 105. So then the total price that Javier is gonna pay is like $105, right? But the price of those three, if you just manually like one of them, it's like $50. That's you have to pay 150. What we want is what percent of this is did she actually save? So she saved like $45, right? Because instead of 150, it's now 105. So the question asking you, what is the percentage of 150? What percent of 150 is like 45, or 45 is what percent of 150? So you can write it as 45 over 150. So again, 45 is just the difference between 150 and 105, because that's the amount that she actually saved. So this is what you want as a percentage, okay? So you want to make this denominator is like 100 if possible, and then this is like easier to divide, because if you divide this by 2/3, then you can get actually 100. If you don't see immediately, you can say this is equal to x over 100, because that means the 100%, like x percent. So x out of 100 means x percent. So you want this fraction to be something out of 100, so you can go ahead and do cross multiplication. So let's do that. So 150 times x equals 45 times 100. So your goal is to get the x alone, so I can cancel one of these zeros. And 15 and 45 divided by 15, so that means this is 3 times 10, which is a 30. So that is choice B. So this is something we can do. There are some other ways, but I think this is one of these at least. Any questions, any comments, or any other ideas? Okay, so yeah, that was number 12. Okay, so this might be challenging a bit. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So first things first, like if you kind of never seen the writing the numbers in terms of its digit, or if you never use that, so that might be this might be a bit challenging. But before we get into that kind of detail, so if I have, let's say, 24, a number, no two-digit number, this can be written as 20 plus 4 or 2 times 10 plus 4. We multiply by 10 because that's the 10th digit, and then the value at the 10th digit is 2, so that's 2 times 10 basically, and plus 4 because that's the units digit or ones digit. If I have 71, so I can write 7 times 10 plus 1, that's how we can write it. But if I have a two-digit in general, so let's say we have a two-digit AB, I can use the same logic, so that could be written as like A times 10 because A is the 10th digit plus B. Okay, and that is something we can write. And when you swap the units digit and the 10th digit, so you will get BA. So that means that would be B times 10 plus A, because now the 10th digit is B and the units digit is A. So I can write this way. And we are looking for by which of the following might per incorrect sum have differed from the correct one. So like if this was the correct one number, and then what she wrote it as BA, which is gonna be the number she added into that sum. We don't really know how many squares are there, but we want to just see what will change in their sum, right? So if I take the difference between these two, so you will see what's gonna like be different. So BA, and the difference between these two, so that is 10A plus B. So 10A plus B, this is the two-digit number AB, minus 10B plus A, that's the BA two-digit number. And if I simplify this, so that should be 10A plus B. And then if you expand this negative sign, negative, like subtract from each number in parentheses, so you will get 10 minus 10B and then minus A. Okay, so now we have 10A minus A, which is gonna be 9A. Then B minus 10B is also 9, but minus 9B. So since we have 9 is common, so I can pull 9 as a common factor. So that should be A minus B times 9, which means the sum of her numbers will change some multiple of 9 because A and B are any digit. Okay, so then their difference is something. A minus B is a number, a value, and that is multiplied by 9, so which will give us the difference between those two-digit numbers. So in the choices, only number that works is 45 because that's the only number that's multiplied by 9. So that should be our answer. And you can always try some values if you kind of couldn't see this immediately. So as long as you get, let's say AB, the difference between those is 5. So in our case, because we proved that's the case, So let's say you have 1 and 6, right? If this is the correct number, right? And then that means she wrote it as 61 instead. So if you take the difference between these two, so like 15 subtract from 60 is 45. So that looks like 5 and 45. So the difference is negative 45 if you take their difference. Or if you do 61 minus 16, that's 45. So you can go with that. If I try maybe 27 as the origin number, and then when you swap the digits, 72. So the difference is also 45, right? So and then that does also work. So I hope that was clear. So you can always use the value of the any numbers by using its digit. So that's basically what I did. And I hope that was clear. Okay. So that's choice. Okay, here's number 14. So far, no correct answers. Okay, so let me try. So the first person has like green and red jelly bean in his hand, and the Bob has a green, yellow, and 2 red of those. And each randomly picks 1 jelly beans to show the other person. And what we want is the probability that the colors match. So like we have only 2 and 4, which is like total of 6 different, I mean, there are 6 jelly beans. But you know, the first person have only two options, either green or red. So which like the first person has two options, and the second person has green, yellow, and two red, which is like total of four options. So the Bob can choose one of these four. So total number of ways that we can achieve is eight ways. Okay, so there will be eight result basically, and which is not too many, so we can list them. So I'm gonna call, like, since there are two jelly beans, I'm gonna call like maybe bean one and maybe bean like red one and red two. That is something I can do that. Okay, so let's say the first person has a green. I'm gonna use G, and then let's say Bob also has a green, so that's the choice. If first person has green, but the second person chose like yellow, or the green and the red one, or green and red two. So these are the four different ways that we can achieve if the first person actually choose a green one. And then if I do the same thing with the red one, so I can go with red, and then this is green, and then the red and yellow, and then red and the red one for the second person, the red and red two. So we want to find the common numbers, the same numbers. So the green and green, so this is good. Green, yellow, no. Green, red, green, red, yellow, red. So this is okay. And then this is also okay. So there are three ways like we can pick those jelly bean to have the same color out of 8 ways. So which is why that's 3 out of 8. That's choice C. Okay, so that was number 14. So let's try another one. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So the first one is like 3 to the p plus 3 to the 4th power. 3 to the 4th power is 81, and that is equal to 90. So if you subtract 81 from both sides, so you get 3 to the p is equal to 9. And then what power of 3 is 9? So p is just 2. So we have this guy. And the second one, we have 2 to the r power if plus 44 equals 76. If you subtract 44 from both sides, so you will get 2 to the r power. So that will be 2, and then that will be 32. And this is 2 to the 5th power, so the r is just 5. So we got that. And the next one is 5 to the 3rd power is 125 plus 6 to the s is equal to 1421. And subtract 125 from both sides. So we can get the unknowns on one side. So 6 to the s is equal to 11 minus 5 is 6. And then you got 11 minus 2 is 9. And then that is now 3, because we subtract 1 already. So let me see, actually, no, 3 and 1, right? So that should be 14. Is that an extra 1296? So when you subtract 1, like from 2, so you just carry one of those 10s to this unit digit, which is 11 minus 5, that's 6. And then now we have 1 minus 2, that doesn't work, so we just carry another 10. So that's basically what happened. So we get 1296. But now we want to kind of ask ourselves, like, what power of this is s, what power of 6 is equal to 1296? You can guess if you want to, but some people will remember this. So if you list the power of 6, so that is 36, and the 3rd power is 216, because if you multiply 36 by 6, you get 216, right? And then if you multiply this by 6 again, that will be 4th power. So 6 times 6 is 36. That will be 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. And then 6 times 2 is 12, so 1296. So meaning that the s is equal to 4, because 4th power of 6 is equal to this number. So what you want is just the product of these numbers. So 2 times 5 times 4, 2, 5 is 10, so multiply by 4, so which has to be choice B. So this wasn't too challenging, but we just solving each variable separately and just multiplying. So that was number 15, okay? So I'll pause right here.